What's up? What's going on, everybody? It's Voodoo 51292. Welcome to yet another one of my honest and thorough game reviews. And I'm wearing my Saints beanie tonight in honor of the Saints' first playoff win of the 2012 postseason, being the Detroit Lions tonight. So I'm wearing my beanie to celebrate that. But today we're going to talk about a game that actually came out probably around 3 months ago. So I'm a little late on the review, but I was a little late playing the game. And this game attempts to do something that really hasn't been done this way before in a game. And it kind of tries to take a genre of games and tries to mix and match a couple of different elements of different games and mash it into one game to make kind of an interesting concept. And the game that we're going to be reviewing today is Dead Island, and I will be reviewing the PlayStation 3 version of the game, because that's the one that I played. So, basically, Dead Island. What is Dead Island? Well, Dead Island is a 4-player cooperative game. You don't have to play it full player co-op. You can go from 4 players all the way down to just by yourself. But it is a pseudo-open world, and I'll explain what I mean by pseudo-open world. RPG style zombie hack and slash game that takes place on the island of Benoi. And basically, to give you an idea of kind of the story behind Dead Island and basically what's going on in this game, the game starts off with kind of a crazy cutscene that I thought was pretty funny. But basically, you get really wasted at a party, and you pass out in your hotel room, and when you wake up, basically the entire island has been hit with this zombie infestation. When you awake, there's zombies all over the island. They've overrun the resort that you're staying at, and you don't know what's going on, obviously, but your whole point is to survive. And obviously, you know, find your way through the island, and you will be meeting different people, a lot of different characters along the way, doing things for them, trying to help out other people as well as saving yourself, and ultimately get to this mysterious person known as the Voice. You hear him talking to you on the radio, and it's kind of a semblance to BioShock, where you hear a guy with an accent similar to Alice's in the original BioShock on the radio, telling you basically that he's at a prison off the island and he needs you to get to him, and he has a mode of transportation off the island. So basically your main goal, at least, is to get there, to help him out, and to possibly get off the island. And like I said, you run into a pretty colorful cast of characters along the way, and you meet a lot of different people that you will try to help, and so forth. So, not a whole lot plot-wise in the game, to be honest. It's not a very plot-driven game. It's something that's going to have a very deep, riveting storyline or anything like that. The game is more about the gameplay than it is about the story. And that can be okay if the gameplay, obviously, is good enough to be the main focus of the game. So that's what we're going to talk about now, the gameplay of Dead Island. As I said, it can be up to 4-player co-op. And at the beginning of the game, you have the option to choose one of 4 different unique characters. And each of these characters has a special skill set. I believe there's a throwing expert, a sharp weapons expert, a blunt weapon expert, and a firearms expert. And you have the ability to choose one of these people, and actually people in your group can be the same person. It's not like if you choose one person that the other person can't get it. And you can choose one of 4. Now, it's pretty funny because when you go into cutscenes in this game, it will show all 4 characters because the story is supposed to be meant like you're all 4 together. So if you do play full-player co-op, it would be nice, you know, for everybody to choose a different person so you get it's more realistic. Because I actually played this game co-op with just one person. I could, you know, I only was able to do 2-player co-op, but by complete coincidence, we wound up picking the same character, and if I had known that, I probably would have picked somebody else just to have a little variation in the gameplay. I mean, you don't have the same character, but it was kind of jarring because we were two of the same person, but when we go to a cutscene, it would have all four unique people, and so it's like, I don't know, it takes you out of the story, and it's very jarring. But that's going on a tangent. But anyway, so you can be one of these four people, and basically, depending on who you choose, obviously, which weapon you're good at, you'll get special perks and things when you are using that weapon, and or when you're using that type of a weapon. And the game, as I said, is kind of RPG style, meaning that you will earn experience points for kills, and you'll earn experience points for completing quests. There is obviously, like many of these games, there's a main quest, and you're also going to find a whole lot of side quests, side content, and you do receive XP for completing these quests. Now when you receive XP, of course, there's a leveling system. You're able to level up in the game, and there are 3 skill trees for each player, and depending on which weapons expert you are, you know, in your combat skill tree, you'll have perks that you can level up specific to sharp weapons. For instance, if you're playing as the sharp weapons expert, to give you extra boosts when you're using sharp weapons. And there's all sorts of different things you can level up. You know, amount of increased damage that you do, less damage received, the ability to regenerate health, lockpicking, all those different kind of things you're able to level up in your skill tree, similar to a lot of these RPG style games that are coming out. And when I say pseudo open world, as I mentioned earlier, basically there are 3 areas to the game, but you're only allowed access to one at a time. So basically you will start off in one area, basically the resort area of the island, and you need to complete all of the main quests in that island before you can travel to the city. Now once you travel forward, you are allowed to travel back, but you can't travel forward until you've done everything in that particular area for the main quest. Then you go to the next area. So you go from the resort to a rundown like slum city to the jungles, and once you reach the jungles, of course, you can go across the entire map. And basically, as I mentioned, what you'll be doing as far as the gameplay is you'll basically be running around and doing basically things that you would expect to do in an RPG style game. You're going to be accepting quests. As I said, there's main quests. There's a lot of side quests that you can do that are various things, and you will get certain rewards for doing these quests. Sometimes you'll get cash. Sometimes you will get weapons. Sometimes you will get weapon mods. That's a pretty common reward that you'll receive for doing these side quests, and that's basically what you do as far as the quests and things in the game. Now, as far as weaponry, I would say that the game is probably about 90% melee weapon based, meaning that firearms only play a very small part of it, and ammo is very hard to find. You can only pick it up off of people, obviously, who have guns. The ammo is rare, so guns are something you probably don't want to focus on. It's 90% melee combat, whether that be blunt weapons or sharp weapons, knives, cleavers, all that kind of stuff. And that's mainly what you'll be doing, running around, hacking and slashing zombies. There are different kinds of zombies. There are some zombies, obviously, that are weak and die pretty easily. There are some zombies that are like normal, that, you know, it takes a normal amount of damage, you would say, to kill them. There are some zombies that are much bigger and take a lot more hits and can punch you and damage you. And you know, there's huge, like, zombies called rams that will charge at you and knock you over. So there's a good variety of enemies that you'll be hacking and slashing your way through, or shooting on occasion if you have some spare ammo. And you'll just be doing these side quests, and these side quests can range from anything such as, you know, go fetch me this, go bring me back some food, things like that. They'll range from that to, you know, I've lost this person in my family, can you go help them, find them, bring them back. So there's a wide array of different kinds of side quests in the game. Now, the weapon system for the game, it's very detailed, and it's a weapon system that's very, very comparable to Borderlands' weapon system, where the weapons actually have colors, and it's kind of confusing because it doesn't seem to really make a good distinction between which color is better than which color, but even the names of the weapons are very Borderlands-like. So early on you'll find things like a flimsy diving knife or a unreliable revolver. But as you progress in the game and you find better weapons, you'll find things such as the malicious hammer or the the brutal bat and things of that nature that are much more powerful and decay a lot slower and deal out a lot more damage. And you can find weapon mods for all of your weapons, and there's a ton of weapon mods. I mean, I picked up a boatload of weapon mods in the game. And of course each mod has different ingredients that you need, and you find these ingredients by walking around looting, similar to what you would do in a Fallout or Elder Scrolls game where you are in an area and you can walk around and loot and find different ingredients. And if you find the right ingredients, you can go to a workbench and create a mod and mod your weapons. I made some pretty neat mods. I had a big long stick that was pretty damaging, and I put nails in it, so it added like a bleeding effect to it. I added a shock feature, electricity feature to my pistol, so sometimes if I got a critical hit it would electrocute them and kill them instantly. And there was all kinds of weapon mods. The person I play co-op with, Brandon, he had a crazy mod called the Ripper mod where he had like a baseball bat with a spinning blade on it. It was crazy. So the weapon system is pretty detailed, and like I said, you'll find better and better weapons as you go through, and you can mod these weapons and make them your own and use them as you will. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what Dead Island is, what it's all about. And now I want to talk about some of the things I liked about Dead Island and some of the things that I didn't like, and specifically things on the PlayStation 3 version. And I can't speak for any other versions of the game, obviously, because I didn't play them. I only have the experience with the PlayStation 3. So let's start off with things I like about Dead Island. The graphics. Okay, the graphics are really good on Dead Island. They're very much on par. There's a lot of attention to detail, and there's a lot of times, you think in a game like this where, there's just endless amounts of zombies that there's a tendency for all the zombies to look the same, the same generic enemies that you're killing, but the game developers actually did a really nice job of making these zombies very detailed and actually making them quite unique and different from one another. And I thought they did a really good job of making some of the zombies look like, okay, you could tell this was a person, this was a human person, who was just normal and got infected and turned into a zombie. And obviously their clothes and what they're wearing and things like that are geared to the area. So if you're at the resort, you'll have zombies wearing like bikinis and swim trunks, and if you're in the city, you'll have them wearing raggedy clothes and things like that. In the jungle, there's like zombies that are natives. Some of these zombies, like the native zombies and things, have these really intricate tattoos all over their bodies, and it's a very detailed game. The faces, the animation, it's very detailed, and it looks great, and all the zombies look unique. The rooms that you walk in, there's a lot of attention to detail, and it's a great looking game, so I really enjoyed that part of the game. The gameplay. I actually enjoyed the gameplay, I would say, quite a bit. The gameplay, can be repetitive after a while because the game is, Brandon and I spent almost 20 hours playing the game, and there was a lot of side quests that we didn't get to, because we wanted to finish up the game. So after a while of hacking and slashing zombies for 20 straight hours, it gets a little stale, but for the most part, it's pretty fun. It's fun to find these different weapons, it's fun to mod them, and to see the different effects and how you can hack and slash your way through zombies. And it's fun. It's fun to keep killing them, gaining XP, leveling up, getting these new abilities. And so the gameplay was pretty fun, and I enjoyed like the variety of some of the quests that you need to do. Was pretty fun, and obviously the co-op aspect. I think co-op games are a lot of fun. And certainly, Brandon and I had a lot of funny moments that happened during the course of this playthrough. The funniest being towards the end of the playthrough, we actually discovered that you can kill one another. The only way to kill your teammates is by blowing them up with fire hydrants or exploding barrels. So we spent a large amount of time trying to find exploding barrels setting each other up, like waiting for somebody for one, each other to turn a corner and blowing them up with a fire hydrant or something and killing them, it's hilarious. So I enjoyed that quite a bit, and I thought overall the game was a pretty fun game. But to get to the things that I didn't particularly like about Dead Island on the PS3, and there's a lot of things, alright? First of all, the quests, the kind of quests that you do, some of these side quests are very generic, like overplayed, just boring quests that you have in some of these games. Like I mentioned, a lot of these quests are like, go fetch me 3 canned foods, go bring me this, go to the gas station and bring me juice, go get bandages, very boring stuff that they still put in these games, and it's just for people who really, really want the experience. And we did a bunch of them early, but as the game progressed, we're like, we're not doing this, it's stupid, it's not worth it to keep doing these boring side quests, so that got a little old. The plot of the game, like I said, it's a very shallow plot, and it's extremely cliche how the plot plays out. I mean, you can see what's going to happen a mile away. The plot is just not inventive, it's not creative. There's really no plot here, and, it's a shame when games have really not much plot at all, to the point where it's not even really relevant to the game. I mean, I think that takes a lot out of it, because you don't really get attached to what's going on, you don't really get attached to the characters. Like in this game, each of the characters you can choose, they have a little backstory to them, but they never really get fully developed. You never really get any kind of attachment to these characters. You don't really care what happens to them. So that's a little off-putting. If you're going to put 20 hours or more into a game, you'd like to be able to feel close to some of the characters and be involved with the plot. But this game, it's very cliche, and it just doesn't play out in a very good way, I think, for what it should be. Another thing that I didn't like about this game, and it's kind of a big deal, but you can play this game single player, alright? But I would not bother, because if you play the game single player, you're going to get very bored very fast. The game's going to get very repetitive. The game is going to be massively difficult if you try to play the game by yourself. I mean, there's some parts where there's so many zombies that it's just impossible to do, I think, by yourself. And it's just, the game is nowhere near as fun, I would imagine, if you're playing the game by yourself as you are with co-op. So even though the game, they market the game as you can play it by yourself, you really can't if you want to have enjoyment out of this game. You need to play it with friends. It's 4-player co-op, but good luck trying to get 3 of your friends to sit down and play a game that's going to take over 20 hours, sit there and play co-op with each other. It's going to be ridiculous. Now, you can play it with your friends. You can join random people's sessions that are at the same level as you are in the main plot. There is a feature where you can scan and find people to join, but the game really shines when you're playing it with your friends, people you know, and you're playing it co-op. If you're going to play the game by yourself, I honestly wouldn't bother, because I don't think you're going to get hardly any enjoyment out of it at all. The game is meant for co-op, and they should have marketed it as really a co-op only game, and not kind of told people you can play it single player when you really can't if you want to enjoy the game. So that's kind of a bummer, that a game has to rely on its co-op to be a good game. It can't just be a standalone title that's really any good if you play it by yourself. So that's kind of a downer. But for sure, I mean, above all of the things, and again, this is where I bring in it's the PS3 version of the game. And I don't know if it's like this, like I said, on the other platforms, because I haven't played them. But the PlayStation 3 version of Dead Island is officially the buggiest game I have ever played in my life. And keep in mind, I played Fallout New Vegas on the PlayStation 3. I thought it could not possibly get any worse than Fallout New Vegas when it came to bugs on my PlayStation 3. I was proved wrong with Dead Island. I cannot tell you the number of times that the game froze my console, froze Brandon's console, obviously to the point where we had to restart it, or the game would just kick Brandon out of our online session. I would always invite him, and the game would just kick Brandon out of the session, just randomly. And so many times we'd have to restart the game, reform the party, and it dragged the playthrough on probably an extra like hour. We had to deal with all of this, if not more. So it's super bugged with glitches and freezes for one thing, kicking people out of the party. And there's a number of other various bugs and glitches. The waypoints in the game are horrible. They're horribly bugged. There are waypoints that try to tell you to walk through mountains to try to get where you're going. It's supposed to be one of those waypoints that it traces the path you need to take. And you do have cars. You actually have vehicles in the game that you can get in and drive. And, you know, the waypoint is supposed to map out a road for you. Sometimes the waypoint will take you into a road that's blocked, that you can't access with a car. Sometimes, like I said, it'll tell you to drive the car through a mountain to get where it's supposed to go. And there were times where we spent long-ass periods of time wandering around clueless because the waypoint was so buggy that we couldn't find where we were supposed to go. And there were parts where we had to just take a random street, and sometimes the waypoint would fix itself and put you on a different course that would actually lead you to where you're supposed to go. So the waypoints are horrifically bugged. There was a couple of other just weird bugs, and it happened to me a lot for whatever reason. There was a bug where I got in a car to drive, and it wouldn't let me get out of the car, and it wouldn't let me steer. My left stick didn't work. I couldn't move over to let Brandon try to drive. I couldn't steer the car. I could go forwards and backwards and look around with the right stick, but I couldn't leave the car. I couldn't steer the car. I had to turn the game off and restart it. Then there was a bug it stuck me with permanently. I guess it was a bug that got caught in a save file, where usually when you're fighting these zombies, much like Borderlands again, it tells you what kind of enemy you have, and it shows their health meter as you're hitting them to see how much damage you're doing, and it tells you how much XP you're getting. Well, there was a nice bug on mine where it just stopped telling me that information. It didn't tell me how much health they had left. It didn't tell me how much XP I was earning. When I would finish a quest, it wouldn't tell me how much XP. I was earning the XP because I kept leveling up, but I just had to run up to a zombie and keep hitting it until it died, and not really knowing when it was going to die because the game bugged out and wouldn't show me that information. And that bug stayed with me actually through the entirety of the game, you know, after it happened. So the game is horribly buggy. It really takes away from the gameplay, and it severely hurts my rating of this game. It really does, because in this day and age, you just cannot release a game. Now keep in mind, I'm playing this game in December. I just beat it in December of January. It's January of 2012. The game came out in September of 2011. So at this point, all the patches and things that are going to be released for the PlayStation 3 version are released, and I had downloaded them all. So this is as buggy as the game is with patches, and it's just unacceptable. I don't understand where people or game developers get away with releasing these games that are this bugged out, and they think it's acceptable to have you pay $60 for a game that is that buggy, and then doesn't release any patches to really fix anything. So, Dead Island, the buggiest game I have ever played, and it's horribly frustrating to be playing a game and have the game freeze constantly, kick people out of the session, weird bugs where you can't drive a car, or you can't see the XP anymore. It's just super annoying, and it's unacceptable. The game's going to lose big points for me just because of the fact that they released it like this. And again, this is on the PS3. I don't know if it's that buggy on Xbox or PC or anything else. But it's that buggy on PlayStation 3, I guarantee you. So, those are my likes and dislikes about the game. So, now saying all of that, let's rate this bad boy. What do I give Dead Island? Well, Dead Island, again, an interesting concept of trying to blend a zombie game with a 4-player co-op, RPG style, Borderlands, similar to Borderlands with the co-op and the experience and the weapons. It's an interesting blending, and from the ending of the game, there seems that there's going to be more. So, you know, it was a good attempt. it was a pretty decent game. We did have some good moments playing the game. I am glad I played it. I did enjoy it, but there were a lot of things wrong with it. I mean, a really shallow plot, generic side quest that they put no thought into whatsoever, and one of, if not the buggiest game I have ever tried to play. And so, it was fun, but there was a lot of things that detracted from it. So overall, what is my rating for Dead Island? Well, I'm going to score Dead Island a 7.25 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty good game. Like I said, it's definitely worth a playthrough if you've got friends to play it with. If you don't, I really wouldn't bother, because I don't think you're going to enjoy this game if you don't play it co-op. But if you have one or two people that you can do co-op with, I would definitely recommend check this game out if you want to do some co-op gaming. It's fun. It's worth a playthrough. Just be prepared. If you get the PlayStation 3 version, don't expect it to be fixed of all its bugs and patches. Don't expect the bugs to be fixed with patches, because I'm playing it 3 or 4 months after its release and it's still horribly bugged out. So just expect frustrations, expect to have to deal with these problems when you play the game, and just know that there's going to be points that really screw up and interrupt your gameplay where you're going to have to restart your console and re-invite people. It's going to be a pain in your ass. So, good game, fun game, but very buggy, and a shallow plot and things that detract away from it. The game gets a 7.25. I'd say definitely worth a playthrough if you want to do some co-op gaming. Alright, so Deep Silver, good attempt, and if you make more, please test the game before you sell it. Please fix the bugs pre-launch, or at least release a decent patch for the game after it comes out and actually fix the problems, because as buggy as that game was, it's unacceptable. Alright? 7.25 out of 10 for Dead Island. Hope you enjoyed this playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this review. You can watch my playthrough on my channel, Voodoo51292, if you're interested. It's a pretty good playthrough. I think it's pretty funny. I think you'll enjoy it. And we make jokes a lot out of the bugs and glitches. We actually just, if they happen so much, we just start laughing them off and joking about them. So go check out the playthrough if you're interested. Thanks for watching the review. Hope it was helpful to you, and I hope to see you again real soon on another one of my game reviews. So thank you guys, and I'll see you then.